Police are escorting City Power officials in Joburg South as they undergo efforts to cut off illegal electricity connections. Let's take you live there now where we find my colleague Heidi Giokos. She's on the ground. Heidi, a little earlier on when you were speaking to Dumelo, it looks a bit violent or tense where you are. Is that still the situation?
No, we've actually moved back to Monjo Police Station, Masako, and this is because it seems as though City Power has done its work for the day. But I think let's just get some perspective in terms of what was achieved, if anything at all, given the resistance and the anger and frustration presented by community members in Naturena. We are joined by the General Manager. Thank you so much for your time. Mr. Tami, we do appreciate it. Maybe just start off by telling us if you find that your operation today was a successful one, given the animosity and frustration that you saw from residents in Naturena.
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon to the viewers. I think this was a success. I think in our assessment, we had a session beginning of the week to assess what we want to achieve from this operation. We are aware we've engaging the community from around March this year, and we know the impact in terms of the fight that takes place usually when we go into that place. But today what we wanted to do was to spend 2 hours and target high bills or customers with high bills and disconnect them. And we knew that at some stage there will be that resistance from the community. So we estimated about 2 hours. Firstly, I think what comes first is the safety of our employees, and that's why we did that risk assessment. And I think we've achieved that which we wanted to achieve.
Okay, but there is concern though that you, for example, in the first street we were at in Naturena, I'm not sure if this was the case, but you had to cut off a whole street because you couldn't go into individual household yards that are owing, so you decided to cut off the whole street. Don't you find this to be unfair to paying residents?
Yeah, no, most definitely. So what is actually happened, we cut the whole block because based on the job cuts that we have, I think 90% of that street was falling within the cutoffs that we needed to have, and most of them we couldn't gain access. But we have opened up a section within Bramfontein where people, when they come, we should be able, as they make the necessary arrangement to pay, we will be able to reconnect them and have them pay.
There's been a lot of allegations thrown around by community members that City Power is on an aggressive campaign to install these smart meters or these new electricity meters, and the community, especially in Naturena, saying that they were still in discussions with City Power and it was still a part of the negotiation with City Power. Do you feel as though you should have negotiated or communicated a bit better with residents, especially because they feel as though what was done today was almost an ambush? Yeah,
and communication is at a certain degree. Once we communicate, there need to be action that is taking place. We have been communicating with the residents of Naturena from, as I said, March. They had a problem. They experienced cable theft from Ekenhof Mountains. There's a stretch of copies that is actually not secured, and every time cables used to be stolen there. And we sat down with them. They highlighted the network challenges, and we highlighted the issues around collection. City Power invested about 9 million there to come up with a cable that will be difficult for cable thieves to actually steal. And we stood and we met our obligations in terms of the deal. And what needed to happen is that immediately after we replaced that cable, we were supposed to normalize the meters. And when we were supposed to come in, we were then confronted with those things that they needed to more engagement on the meters. Okay. So that we felt it was unfair from the community because we met our part of the bargain. So as it is, I think the engagement has been enough. I think what is necessary for the city to do is to start collecting in that area.
I want to ask, in the area that you were at, how much is owed to City Power?
Yeah, so we are estimating at City Power there's about 1,500 customers there who are not paying at all. We are estimating about 12 million in Naturena, yeah, so 12 million per annum, and we estimate that we can be running on the rates and taxes on the debt itself. The city is owed about 210 million by Naturena. So there's an aggressive, there's a huge element of non-payment in the area of Naturena, and I think operations like this, they also assist the community to get used to the culture of payment.
Okay, and just lastly, have you had to stop your operations for today because of the aggression that you saw from residents, or were you already done for the day?
Yeah, for the day, I think we estimated yesterday that we're going to spend 2 hours. So immediately when the time was up, we then needed to pull off. But again, I think you could see the intimidation, and I could feel for the staff, because they're in the front line of the service delivery, and they were personally being threatened. So from our side, in terms of the risk assessment, we did our 2 hours, but I think it was just in protection of our staff, and I still believe that we've met we have achieved that which we went there for today.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. We do appreciate that. Is the General Manager for Revenue at City Power, Mr. Tami, speaking to us, Masego, about what was done today, because earlier scenes that we were showing on eNCA with my colleague Tumelo really speak to the anger and frustration. There's always two sides to the story, and residents say that they feel as though they were ambushed by City Power, but City Power saying, we've been engaging, we've been having discussions with residents, and there is just a culture of non-payments. As you heard him say, 12 million rand just in Naturena, about 1,500 households not paying for the services that they use. And this is why City Power has no choice to go on this aggressive campaign where they have to cut off. And unfortunately, in the mix of it are households that are paying, but they'll obviously have to go and dispute this with City Power.
It's quite an unfair one, but at the same time, we do have a responsibility, Heidi, as residents who use these services to pay for them, no matter how aggrieved we are.